Hello, sister, and welcome to the Art of Spiritual Living online retreat. My name is Elizabeth Foley, and I am an artist and creative catalyst. I help women get over their creative blocks and get in touch with their inner creative spirit. We are here today with Candice Oneida, who is going to be talking about feminine empowerment, helping us get more in touch with our feminine side. And I'm really excited to dive in with her today. But before we get started, I just want to take a moment to make sure that we're just really fully present so we can get the most out of this session. So the only thing you're going to need today are your journal and your coloring goodies so you can take some notes. So let's go ahead and, close the door, put that do not disturb sign on your door if you need to, shut down your phone and the other apps so you can be really fully present. And let's take a moment to just get mentally present and really land here. So if you've been joining us on other sessions, you know that I like to lead an Om practice. Using a mantra like Om can be a really powerful way to just really quickly tap into that inner space. So when we're chanting Om, it doesn't matter how it sounds. What's important is the vibrations that it makes and that you're using the moment to really tune inward. If you're in a public place or somewhere where you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can just close your eyes and take some deep breaths and just listen to the sound of my Om and let that be a pathway in. If you'd like to join us, which I encourage you to do, when we're chanting Om, this is how it works. So we're going to chant Om 3 times. We'll close our eyes, we'll take some deep breaths, then we'll inhale in together, and as we exhale, we'll exhale Om. And as we're chanting Om, it's actually a 3-part sound. So you want to first hear the first part of the sound. It's going to be, first of all, you want to feel the vibration here in your neck, and it's going to sound like this. Oh, you make that sound with a more open mouth. And like I said, feel the vibration here in your neck. The second part of the sound is the oh sound, and you're going to feel that vibration here in your neck. Ooh. And the last part is the sound. So you want to feel that vibration here in your chest. So when we put it all together, it sounds like this. Oh. All right, so I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes with me. Just start taking some deep breaths. Really let yourself tune into your breath. Just feeling your breath passing in and out of your nostrils, feeling your chest rising and falling. And now let's take a deep breath in together. And as we exhale, we'll chant Om. You can go ahead and open your eyes when you're ready. And I will introduce Candice to you. Candice Oneida is an international speaker and founder of Feminine Success, LLC. She's Australia's #1 feminine success mentor. Her background in corporate Australia for over 12 years. All right, let's go ahead and open your eyes when you're ready. And I'll introduce Candice to you. So Candice Oneida is an international speaker and founder of Feminine Success, LLC. She is Australia's #1 feminine success mentor. She has a background in corporate Australia for over 12 years. She's helped to start up over 5 companies to over $1 million in annual earnings. This experience led her to the realization that feminine principles were sadly lacking in today's business world. Candice is passionate about instilling feminine values, skills, and practices into her own businesses, as well as teaching others how to do the same in their work and life. With 20 years of training in meditation and transformation studies, Candice brings a depth, knowledge, and personal experience to her speaking, programs, and private mentoring sessions. Candice has personally taught over 120 workshops and worked with over 2,000 women from all over the world on topics of self-development, meditation, sexuality, and feminine power. And today she is going to share with us a practice to help us tap into our desire. So hello, welcome, Candice.
Wonderful to be here today, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for inviting me to talk at this beautiful summit.
So since this is the Art of Spiritual Living online retreat, I have been asking all of our guides what spiritual living means to you. So Candice, can you tell us, what does spiritual living mean to you?
Literally everything. In that I moved to America. Obviously, I got this funny Australian accent here. So I moved to America in 2001 to actually start a meditation school, which is an international school of meditation that I brought from Australia. So, I mean, I literally, my whole basis and foundation of my life is based on spiritual practice, on spiritual transformation, on teaching others how to do that from the range of deep spaces of consciousness through meditation, through what we call deconstruction work, diving into desire, as we're going to be doing here today, in order that you can actually get into the will to really achieve high states of consciousness. So it's kind of everything to me. It's the most important thing in my life.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us more, what does desire have to do with spirituality?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the thing is, there are some spiritual traditions, and it's important we don't take any sort of chunks of a spiritual training or a spiritual tradition out of context. So there are some spiritual traditions that speak about getting out of desire, or desire is the heart of suffering, or those kinds of things. And I'm a great respecter of these spiritual traditions. But sometimes you've got to see the tradition and all the practices within the context of that tradition, like the whole context, right? So the context of my spiritual work is that it's a Western tradition, more in the line of a mystery school. And what my spiritual teacher found was that when you're trying to teach people meditation and to go into stillness and real deep states of consciousness, what you find is people's mind just goes off and their body feels painful and they hit a lot of unconsciousness in the body. It's a 21st century human being. We're complex. We bring with us a lot, you know, in terms of history, emotion. Everything's big, everything's loud. There's not much space, right? And that's just this life. So if we're talking about the accumulation of past life stuff too, there's just a lot to what it means to be a modern day human being who is a spiritual aspirant, right? And so what we found is that if you don't deconstruct the nature of the mind, if you don't get people to actually sort of peel away the layers of who they think they are, then they never actually discover who they are, right? And one of the things that we discover is that the world of desire and wanting, if it's not actually gone toward rather than avoided, people don't know themselves. So we'll talk a bit more about this today, but we all have so much conditioning by the time we become an adult. You know, the conditioning of our parents, of our socioeconomic background, of our education, so lot people think we want, right? And then we adopt it because we're wanting to please those people. And okay, I guess I want to be a doctor or a lawyer, and I'm going to go to college and do that, or whatever the conditioning was, only to find that they lose themselves in the process. So the process is sort of unraveling that and seeing what you desire, what you want, especially as a woman, by the way, because we talk about the feminine here, especially as a woman, when we start to dig into desire from the conditioned level of desire all the way through to the very, very deep unconscious level of desire, which can be secrets, it can be things that you don't say to anybody else, it can be things that you want that are very, very sexual, it can be things that you want that you're just scared to speak about. Well, that's the territory where we start to get plugged into our power source as women, and that's when we can work out our purpose and what we really, really want.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that piece about, if you don't know your desire, you don't know your true self. It's so easy to get disconnected from our desire.
And find ourselves on a track, right? So another sort of body of work I do has to do with time tracks and timelines. And man, I was that person, right? I found myself on a track as a corporate woman by the time I was sort of mid-20s, and I was on this track. You know, I finished my high school, and then I got myself the education, and then I was a corporate commercial designer in Australia, and I kept moving from practice to practice, but I was basically on this track, and I was dying somewhere on the inside. And you know how I knew? My body was telling me. I had migraines, I had back pain that I was medicating. This is the thing, you know, our health, our body, our spirit are so tied, right? And as women, our body has so much rich information to tell us. And if we stop listening, you know, for me, like, you know, by the time I hit my 40s, I ended up really burnt out. And that's one of the main things that I have the deepest desire to make sure other women don't do, is they don't end up sort of stuck on a track that's not really theirs, ignoring all the signals in their body, ignoring all their intuitive signals inside themselves, in order that they are forcing themselves down a track that's really not theirs. And as we know, think about our modern world, especially our work world, whether you're corporate, which I was, and then I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. But so I started corporate and then I became an entrepreneur. But all of the work paradigms that we work within are still masculine paradigms. And when I speak masculine, feminine, I'm really talking about inner forces, not man, woman, or male, female. This is not about male bashing or anything like that. It's just not how I think. I absolutely love men and the masculine. And then, so what we do as women is we take on this masculine operating system, man OS, I call it, man operating system. And it just doesn't quite fit right in our body. And that's part of the reason why women end up so exhausted, overwhelmed, and eventually burnt out, you know, to the extent of really badly burnt out, like chronic fatigue. And boy, I've got some statistics on women's health, really, 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 really bad since the 1960s, right? Just as an example. So in the 60s, you know, women basically sort of en masse started to enter the workforce. And that was a workforce that was already established by men for men. Okay, so it works for men, basically. That system worked for men. We entered and we needed to prove ourselves. So we sort of jumped on board and rallied and proved that we could be as good a man as the men, right? We could man up. And we proved that we're as smart and capable and can be as successful as a man. It's just that my question is, knowing my experience, at what cost, right?
Yeah.
And so just one statistic, since the 1960s, there's been a 60% increase in female-specific cancers, cancers of the breasts, cancers of the ovaries, the uterus, the cervix. That is our bodies telling us something, even if it's not yours right now. And so that's why I'm just so passionate about showing women how to get back into their feminine power, that there is power in the feminine, and that we want to work and live and operate differently than men. And we can actually be more successful doing that.
I would love to hear more about what specifically are feminine powers versus masculine powers. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, such a good question. Well, before I answer that, if I could, one of the things that I discovered in the light of that question is that there's so much misunderstanding about what masculine and feminine means. So much.
Yeah.
And what I worked out is, most of the time people are talking about masculine and feminine as what I now call the false masculine and the false feminine. So I've developed a model that I call the false feminine and the true feminine, and the false masculine and the true masculine. For example, false masculine would be like bullying, fighting, domination, oppression, compete, fight and win kind of stuff. And by the way, that's pretty much how I was a corporate woman, exactly in that false masculine orientation. The false feminine is drama, histrionics, manipulation, self-centeredness, right? So there's false level. So what happens is the false feminine attacks the false masculine, and there's just this whole lack of communication going on. And it's not what anybody wants to be. Nobody wants to be in the false level of their human existence. So when I speak about masculine and feminine, I'm really speaking about inner forces, especially when you start to elevate into the true feminine and the true masculine. You're starting to talk about, so for the true masculine, for example, that's bringing presence, that's holding, that's protection, that's holding, those kind of things. And the true feminine is that of community and support and care and self-care. And both the true feminine and the true masculine are all about there's enough for everybody. It's all about win-win. It's not about dynamics of competition, right? But even the true masculine's that, right? There's many more adjectives that I can put to those things, but I think you get the point that what I want to talk about here is the true feminine. And in my model, it's called either the queen. You're trying to elevate yourself into your queen out of what I call the maid and the princess, into the queen and the priestess. It's a whole model that I've created around this. And so in order to get into your queen, you need to know your desire, right? You find that women who are in their false level, so we can talk about false feminine or false masculine there. And it's not just a spectrum, by the way, because we can move between our feminine and our masculine. It's what we want to have is what I call soul flexibility. You actually want to be able to use the masculine at times, because the true masculine is also about structure and action and being able to do and contain things and create formulas and systems. That's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So we need to be able to employ our masculine, but we also want to be employing our masculine really from our true feminine. And by the way, total digression and aside, which is not what we're talking about today, but if you know how to do this as a human being for your work, your communication and your tribe and your community, then you become way more powerful in relationships in general. So whether it's primary relationships or friendships, the learning of polarity is one of what I call the feminine arts. And it's really, really powerful thing to understand, because there's so much misunderstanding out there about it.
Yeah, there certainly is. It's like our world tells you that if you're going to be feminine, that means you have to wear a dress and wear makeup and wear pink and wear high heels. And there's nothing strong about being feminine, you know.
Right. Or powerful, by the way.
Right.
So what it gets positioned as is the outer, what I call adornment level of the feminine, which, you know, I'm pretty girly, by the way, and I kind of like the adornment piece. But if you watch out there in the world, I've been a people watcher all my life. If you watch people and you tune in, you might see a woman who outwardly looks very beautiful, but when you kind of scrape underneath the surface with whatever vision you use, I'm not saying all, I'm just saying this is an example. If you dive under the surface, that woman may have no real relationship to her body. She may not actually have any inner feminine shining through that. I'm all about the inner feminine, the inner forces that we shine from inside, right? So whether you're wearing a sack or whatever you're wearing or looking like, you're actually resting on inner forces of consciousness and the deepest and the most profound and most real and authentic part of yourself. And it's from there you can wear what you like. I mean, that will then describe what you wear on the outside. It's probably will inform what you wear and how you look on the outside, because it's just authentic to you, right? And I know myself, sometimes I like to be in my tracks. Sometimes I like to dress up if I'm on stage. Sometimes I like to, you know, wear no makeup. Sometimes I like to wear makeup, right? Sometimes I like to have like having jewelry on. Sometimes I do. So what I don't want to happen is for women to think that in order to become feminine, you have to mold yourself into some sort of codified formation of that. Ultimately, when I build this model of the true and false feminine, the true and false masculine, it's in order that you discover your own queen, your own priestess. She gets to emerge from inside you, because your level of self-knowledge becomes real and authentic and deep. And en route to that, as we know, we have to face some of the charges and the emotions and the hurts and the traumas, whether it's this life or past life. Now, as women, right, we carry a lot of scars as women for centuries in our bodies. Now, that's something I work on when I of trauma as women. And I tell you what, starting to come out and shine as a woman is, sometimes they're going, I don't know why I just feel so terrified to speak my truth. It's like, well, some of it's yours and some of it's the collective feminine there. And that's why as women, we need to support each other, right? We need to have tribe and community to encourage each other's feminine forward, because it's not just about us, it's about the world. The world is hungry and desperate for feminine values to come back.
Yeah, that's true for sure. So today I understand you have an experience for us, getting in touch with our desire. I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
So yeah, what I want to take, excuse me, I'm always a tea drinker. Everyone that works with me knows that I have intravenous tea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go, lady.
Yeah,
there we go. Cheers. There you go.
Get this giant
You've
mug.
got a tankard full.
Yeah.
You got your giant mug. I've got my giant teapot. Beautiful. Cheers. I've developed this process that I call desire setting. Now, it's a little bit of a play on words. Desire setting is to the feminine what goal setting is to the masculine. Now, what I discovered after working with women as a mentor and coach and workshop facilitator for 20-something years is that when women go into goal setting, the reason why we goal set is because of how we want to feel when we get there, right? And then what I started to see happening is because often the way women are, taught to goal set, it's in this very it's in a very masculine way. It's very targeted, and it's very, in 3 years I'm going to be this, and in 5 years this, and in 10 years, and it's this kind of very mental relationship to the goal. Now, because I realized that women, the reason why we goal set is because we've got this sense of how we'll feel when we get that. Okay, I'm going to give you an example. A woman says, I really want to have a house by the ocean in X place, in a certain place. I want to have that, and I want to have that within 5 years. Now, with a woman, the minute she sort of there, she can feel something starts to happen in her body. She just starts to feel something that she wants to feel when she's in that house. Something starts to land in her body, right? Now, what often happens is it gets kind of switched off too quickly, and it becomes, okay, in order to do that, then I've got to start to make this much money, put this money away, and no, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes this thing where the feeling, the embodied relationship to the goal gets lost. And then the pathway to get the goal has nothing to do with that feeling anymore. It has to do with more pushing, striving, working harder and harder, pushing, fighting, winning, competing. They go back into man mode in order to get that feeling, which is really, really feminine. That's the background. So what I discovered was we need to reverse engineer this. We need to get you to really embody and feel what that feeling is that you want to feel when you get there, right? And then you keep doing it as an exercise. That's what I'm going to teach you today. Because when you provide yourself the embodied conditions of the goal, now, not putting it off 5 or 10 years, but now and every day, you literally are creating the conditions in which it's inevitable that the goal will happen. Rather than you becoming separated from it. And guess what ends up happening? The goalposts keep moving. It keeps getting pushed further and further out because you don't have a relationship to it anymore. It's become an idea and you've lost the embodied relationship to it. So desire setting is about feeling the desire, feeling what you want to feel in your body piece now. And that's what I'm going to take you through now.
I'm excited. That sounds great. That idea really resonates with me. The idea that we set these goals and then we totally lose track of what it is that we're working for or we're trying to get to along the way. I know I do that all the time.
And besides the fact there, Elizabeth, it's okay for the goal to adjust. You see, part of the feminine is we have this way to flow with things. So if we rigidly fix ourselves on a goal and we don't allow there to be adjustment and fluidity in that, it's like those horses that have those blinkers on that can't see anything on either side. They just end up blinkered and all they can do is go forward, right? And what we want to happen is we want you to be able to flow with those goals. You don't want to be somewhere else. You might want to move somewhere else. You might change that's what you want at all. But the only way you're going to work that out is by doing this exercise anyway, okay?
Yeah, I'm ready to dive in.
Beautiful. Okay. So what I'm going to get everybody to do, I'll keep my eyes open here, but what I'm going to ask you to do is to start, and I want you to think of a kind of big, maybe a little bit scary goal that you have, something that you really, really want. You may have shared it with some people, you may not. It may be kind of secret. Don't overthink this. So just right now, just think of something you really, really want. Let's give you a few seconds. Beautiful. So all I want you to do is just to capture that idea. Okay, you know exactly what that is. Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do now is I'm going to get you to close your eyes. Now, what I'm going to get you to do is to think of that goal. It's possibly something that you've put off into some time in the future. It may be a trip. It may be something you want to own. It may be something you want to do. Maybe something you want to create. It may be a spiritual desire. It may be a sexual thing. It may be partner, relationship. Anything is okay here. And let's just take a few nice, big, long, deep breaths, as in full breath inwards. And all the way out, all the way down into your pussy, deep, deep down. Let's breathe in again, all the way up the body. And then all the way down, deep, deep down into your belly, your pussy. So make sure your pussy's involved in this process. And we breathe in again, all the way up the body. And all the way down, down, down. Now, if you would like to, you can get your hands facing inwards over the lower belly. So almost right down in the hips, over the pussy, over the vaginal canal. And I want you to keep feeling down there. In order to feel into desire, we have to be including our pussy. There's so much wisdom. And so I want you to keep feeling down there. So you've got the goal in mind. And now we're really including the feeling down into the lower belly, into your pussy. And then let's start to feel what you want to feel when you have achieved, gained, won, achieved this goal. You're there. You can feel the house or the space. You can feel your community or tribe around you. You may have had a goal for having children. You can feel your children around you, the family. You can feel the success of your business. You can feel the house or the thing that you really, really want to get. Or you can feel into that spiritual experience that you're wanting to have. That sense of your authentic light shining and really serving the world. And let's keep these nice, long, deep breaths. And I want you to start to feel around you in that time, that place, that experience. Feel around you, almost like let it become tactile. As in, you can touch the walls of the house. You can hold the hands of your children or your tribe and community. You can feel the embrace of your lover. Keep breathing and let yourself look around you, like really, really feel around you. It's look but feel. It's what we call sense mix-up, where you're looking and you're feeling at the same time. And I want you to feel that sense of deep, profound pleasure and satisfaction in the body, that you are here. You are here. It's happened. The thing you want more than anything else has happened. And although there may be an aspect of thrill in that, let's really stay connected to the body. Let's breathe the air around you. And that air smells like the success of that goal. You might be smelling the hair, the skin of your child or of your lover. Let smells fill the space. It may be the flowers in the garden of the house. It may be on the cliffs of Tuscany and you can smell the ocean. Whatever it is to you. And wherever you are there, I want you to extend your vision, as in looking out as far as you can. So if we're on the edge of the ocean, you're going to look out into the expanse of the ocean. Feel your presence and your consciousness expanding as you feel that incredibly deep sense of stillness and silence that you are here. It's happened. You feel so richly provided for by the divine, so deeply and profoundly happy. And let's keep doing those nice big long breaths into the body, keeping it real in the body, keeping it profound and deep and connected to the body. This is what it feels like. A few more nice big long deep breaths. And then you're going to be turning around in that place. You're going to see the expanse and you're going to turn around slowly in a 360-degree rotation. Doesn't matter which direction. And you're going to be looking at everything in that environment. And as you see other things or feel other things, you're going to experience it in the body. Underneath the hands that are facing inwards, down deep in your belly, in your pussy. This deep sense of being met and satisfied. Richly rewarded. And feeling the kind of person you are then. What you've overcome to get there. How much more real and authentic you feel. You're being yourself. Like you pierced through a shell and come out and shone your light into the world. And you've received much from the people around you, from your community, from your family, your lover, your kids, spiritual teachers, your community. You've received much from the divine. And continuing and finishing up the 360-degree circle and coming back. Just staring out at the expanse, the smells, the tactile warmth of the breeze. A deep sense of still satisfaction in the body. You are vibrantly filled up on life. And we're going to do 3 more breaths here together. Nice, big, long, deep breaths. As you body before we return out of this practice. feeling that it is already done. It may have to step itself out in time, but it is already done. You've achieved the feeling. Now the actual goal just becomes an inevitable rolling out manifestation of this. One more breath in, and one more breath out. And one more breath in and out, feeling it is already done. And opening your eyes. Beautiful.
That was great.
Yes. So the trick is to do that frequently enough, because we're human, we lose touch with these things. So do the practice, 5 minutes, feel it in the body, let it move. You see, the thing is, sometimes there's a way to do this where you actually do it through movement or put on the song you like. It's a different way to do this, where you let it move in the body, right? So sometimes, especially as women, we need movement, because sometimes we have to move out the stuff that's in the way, right? So that's another way to do that too.
That was really great. I see in myself there. It's kind of hard to come back now.
Well, you don't have to. That's the whole point. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, that was great, Candice. I am feeling very connected to that desire now. Definitely going to be making that a regular part of my practice. So
wonderful.
I understand you have some gifts for everybody watching today. If they want to dive a little deeper into this kind of work, why don't you go ahead and tell us about those?
Yeah. I've got a couple of gifts to give you. I've created a little questionnaire, a little quiz that I call the What's Your Desire archetype. And it covers this territory around desire, and it asks you some questions. You just need to answer them, from your gut without overthinking it. And what will come of it is which level you're at in terms of the feminine desire archetype. So whether you're in the false or the true feminine, don't take it too personally or seriously. We all tend to move between the archetypes, just so you know. And so I'll send you a link. I think there'll be a link put at the bottom of this. It's powerfullyfem.com/quiz. Right, so do that, and at the end of it, you put in your first name and your best email address. And then what I'll do is I'll email you the Feminine Desire Archetypes Blueprint. And what that does is it shows you all of the false and the true feminine, so that sort of have a bit of a pathway, like literally a blueprint as to what you're moving toward. And so you can sort of have a look at it in yourself, watch it in other people and go, wow, she's totally in her maid right now, or wow, that woman's really shining in her queen, right? And ultimately the purposes of this is to show you a blueprint and a pathway to be in your true feminine.
Ooh, I'm so excited to dive deeper. That was so great, Candice.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So yeah, everybody, the links are right below, so you can go ahead and click those and sign up and keep in touch with Candice. Thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Total
any
delight.
kind of closing thoughts for everybody? I put you on the spot.
That's okay. Marianne Williamson has this quote, which is, when a woman has the courage to go out there and shine, she gives others permission to do this actively. This is what I say in my YouTube channel. And it's this thing of sometimes we need to have the courage to kind of do the thing that's a bit scary to us, because it helps us to shine. Like when we push against our boundaries a little bit and actually decide to open where a lot of things inside us want to close, but we actually decide to open, that's when you start to pierce through that shell and come and shine. And when you're shining, you actually literally give someone else permission to do the same thing. So.
Yeah, that's so true. That resonates a lot. Thank you again for being here with us today. And everybody, I encourage you to sign up for Candice's free gift and join us over in the Facebook group. You know, love to hear you sharing what your desires are and how you felt connecting with them. So thank you all for being with us today. Blessings to everyone.
Thank you so much.